Hello, I am Athletic Director Sean Kearns here at Harding High School. We are coming to you today from the telecom room so that we can come to you virtually as opposed to having an in-person meeting given the current uptick in COVID cases around the state. I want to thank Mr. Mullins for this opportunity to use their fancy technology up here in telecom. I have head athletic trainer Tim Brown with me today to help us go through our winter athletics parent meeting. I first would like to thank everyone that was involved in fall athletics for your cooperation, your patience, your understanding with all of our new regulations. You did a fantastic job for us. Couldn't appreciate it more. We were successful in completing our seasons this fall without too many interruptions. And that's a lot to do with your help and cooperation with all that we were doing, and I can't thank you enough. On that topic, as we head into winter, a lot of the same guidelines will be in place if you were involved in fall athletics. If you're just starting with athletics this year for us, this may be somewhat new to you. There are some things that are going to be very similar to fall, and some things are going to be a little bit different. We have different types of venues that we have to be involved with, the bowling alley, the Y for swimming, and so on. One thing that is consistent with what we're doing in terms of COVID is when you look at the athletes' responsibilities, it's very important that the athletes coming to and from practice, anytime they are not actively at practice, need to be wearing a mask, and they need to be social distancing at all times. That's consistent with everything we do here at school, and that's consistent with everything we do at practice, coming and going. Next thing is everybody has to bring their own water bottle. We've been doing that for several months now. We are fortunate to now have 2 additional water bottle refill stations in the athletic wing of the high school, in addition to the one that was already there installed a couple of years ago. So they will have plenty of opportunities to refill that water bottle anytime they need to, right there in the athletic wing. One thing we are doing above and beyond, we are doing a temperature check prior to each and every practice. We're doing a temperature check on our athletes prior to any contest as well, in addition to checking the COVID symptoms on all of our athletes. Obviously, it's important to use hand sanitizer, wash your hands frequently, and the biggest area that we've noticed, coaches, Tim, myself, we're obviously in practice, kids are monitored, things are organized, things are spaced, kids are moving around a lot. The times that kids will tend to congregate tend to be times when they're coming to practice and or waiting for a ride after practice. So try to just talk with your child about maintaining distance, keeping a mask on if they are in fact waiting for a ride and or coming to practice and there's a group of them coming in at one time. So help us on that end. Our coaches are going to be responsible for the daily COVID screening and temperature checks. Coaches will wear masks at all times, and they're responsible for the help in cleaning of equipment, anything involved in their particular practice or game on that particular day. We can get into lots of different details. Obviously, the winter sports are a little different than fall. We have basketball in the winter. Wrestling has its own set of challenges. Bowling has its own set of challenges. Swimming has its own set of challenges. Cheerleading as well, and gymnastics as well. All of these sports have specific guidelines that we have to follow. Those things will be communicated to you through ourselves as well as the coaches. And obviously a lot of that depends not only on just the COVID guidelines for that particular sport and how that sport is operated, but also the venue in which that sport is played. Obviously we bowl at Cooper's Bowl, we swim at the Y, and then we do our other sports here at the high school. So they all have specific things that you have to follow. And look for guidance from us specifically. You'll get a lot of emails through Final Forms from us this winter. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And then also be in contact with your coach as to how those things go per sport and per practice. Spectators, again, I thank you again for your great cooperation this fall. It will be mandatory again this fall to wear a mask at all games. If you need to take a mask break, please leave the building or leave that particular venue for just a few moments if you need a mask break. The gym will be marked as it has been in the fall with all sorts of markings for where you should sit within your household groups. We want to make sure that we emphasize in the gymnasium this winter, no food or drink in the gymnasium. If you go to the concession stand, we have an area out there that you can eat. You could even step outside if the weather's okay and eat your food or drink out there. But we want to keep that out of the gymnasium area during this COVID situation. Briefly touch on visiting team information. And it's really all the same as it is for our home fan information. Athletes have to bring their own water bottles. We have to have masking. We have to do social distancing. All the locker rooms, home and away, have been marked so that each team will only go in one level at a time, meaning freshman team, JV team, varsity team. They simply go in to change clothes, and that's it. They are not to be a meeting area. They are not to be a congregating area or anything else before, during, or after games or practice or anything like that. But we want to limit the number of kids in the locker room at any one given time, again, for safety reasons. And showers are off limits at this time, and that goes for here at the high school, at the Y, or anywhere else. And again, each school may have some different protocols or directions for us as we go to their school. And again, we will be communicating with you frequently on not only how to get tickets, but also how to go about getting to those particular locations and venues. From a COVID perspective, Tim, you have anything to?
We just have to be very upfront, honest. If you have a minor symptom, we want you to stay home. It's something we have to be very proactive. We were very successful in the fall because we followed that. We followed a common sense approach. And just include us in the loop so that we can help guide you to get you back quickly, safely, because it's not only about your safety, the coach's safety, our safety, it's all the staff, the parents, everyone else. So you got to look at the big picture. We want to compete, but we want to do it quickly, safely. We want to, safety's first.
Yep, and just to understand, I think everybody needs to understand that there may be speed bumps, obstacles in the way at times during this winter. There may be interruptions this winter. We've seen some of that if you follow college football or pro football. We've already seen some of it with some of our scrimmage schedules here this winter with basketball. And those are just some of the challenges that are put in front of us, and we accept those challenges. We plan to attack them and on a daily basis, and we're going to do everything we can to ensure a successful and safe winter season for your child. So we're committed to that challenge. At this point, I'd like to kind of shift gears. We're going to move into the OHSAA portion of the program. We always go through this each and every season with you, and it just got some of the highlights and things that may come up with eligibility and some of those sorts of things. So we'll go through that at this time. So we'll just get through. The OHSAA obviously is the governing body that covers all of high school athletics, of which we are a member, as well as 800 and some odd other high schools throughout the state of Ohio. We obviously have to abide by their rules and regulations, and they are a good group of rules and regulations that we follow. But the OHSAA mainly is here for your child, to make them have the opportunity for a good high school experience. So we'll talk a little bit just about eligibility here to begin with. The eligibility situation in a general sense is obviously you have to be currently enrolled or participating in accordance with state law. That could involve homeschooling, and there's all kinds of things going on right now, of course, with COVID. But we have to fall within those guidelines, which obviously we check and make sure that everyone does. Biological or adoptive parent must live in Ohio. Some of the areas where you have to be really sure and careful, typically for eligibility in high school athletics in Ohio, you have to be passing 5 one-credit classes or the equivalent thereof. And I bring that up because I just want to make sure that you are being careful with your child's schedule. Some things that we sometimes see, if you schedule a bare minimum of 5 classes, even if you do really well in 4 of them and perhaps fail a 5th one, even if the other 4 were A's, that's going to render your child ineligible. So we want to make sure typically that you try to schedule at least 6 classes, just so if there's that one class that just doesn't go well, or everybody has their area that they're not good at, that it doesn't cause a problem with eligibility. The OHSAA at the moment has waived the eligibility requirement in terms of academics just because of the nature of the COVID situation. Obviously, school has been interrupted and changed and altered in so many ways right now. They are having that provision to allow all students to play at the moment. It's not going to last forever. So the key thing is make sure that you're in communication with your guidance counselors. If you have any questions at all, ask me in the athletic office. We just want to prevent any clerical mistakes from causing ineligibility. And the other thing that we've run into is, as we've gotten down this road of college credit over at OSUM and or MTC, is a lot of times by the time a student is a second semester senior, they are within a credit or 2 of graduation, and they really only need to take 1 or 2 classes to graduate. However, if they've only taken 1 or 2 classes first semester or third 9 weeks, that's not enough. They still have to be in 5 1-credit classes, so you still need to find something to take 5 credits worth of classes in so that you maintain your athletic eligibility. So we want to avoid any problems there down the road as well, and that's become something we've just seen in the last year or 2 with all the college credit options. There are different rules for homeschool, and if you fall in any of those categories, or STEM or anything like that, just make sure you come and see us so that we can be sure that you're doing everything right in terms of eligibility. Just understand also that semester and yearly grades have no effect on eligibility. Everything is based on 9 weeks grades and 9 weeks grades alone. Also, summer school has nothing to do with eligibility. You cannot make up anything from 4th 9 weeks during the summer. You can't make up anything second 9 weeks from first 9 weeks. Once that 9 weeks is over, it's over. And that's how eligibility is determined. So just a few little qualifiers there. One thing, back to the schedule, sometimes you get in a class you don't like or you're having trouble with, or you decided you wanted to try something else or whatever, take a study hall. Make sure that you check that you're not affecting your eligibility before you go and make one of those changes in the guidance office. A couple other little things in terms of eligibility. Once you start your high school clock, you have 8 semesters. In other words, once you're a freshman here and you start your freshman year, 8 consecutive semesters, which obviously is 4 consecutive years of high school. And then once that 4 years or that 8 semester time is up, that's the end of your eligibility in high school. There's no redshirting. There's no, you can't take a year off and save 2 semesters or anything like that. It's 8 consecutive, 4 years consecutive, and then you're done. And then in terms of an age limit, they've made it very simple at the high school level at this point. Once you turn 20 years old, you can no longer play high school athletics. So no dates or anything else, just once you're 20 years old. So I think that covers some of the eligibility standards. One other thing we run into, all high schools run into, is the case of transfer students. Transfer students, there are so many different cases and stipulations and details that go into any type of transfer. We could go through all those different exceptions and all those types of things. However, if you are a transfer student, please come see me, come see your coach so they can alert me, and we can examine your case on a detail-by-detail basis so that we can determine your situation in terms of transfer. Most of the time you'll meet an exception, sometimes not, but not to bore you with every possible combination, just come and see us if you fall in the transfer category. At this point also, if you have any questions in terms of OHSAA rules or anything about the OHSAA, you can go to their website at ohsaa.org. Obviously, the goal with the OHSAA is that it complements your high school your experience, gives you a sense of community, hard work, teamwork, citizenship, discipline, and it promotes a lifetime of healthy choices, basically. Obviously, a lot of you parents have been involved in athletics when you were growing up, and we all miss that opportunity. We all wish we were young again, but we do carry a lot of what we learned in those sports throughout our lives. So that's what the OHSA is ultimately all about. On the local level here, we have a few things that we want to make sure, and I think most of you are already on your way to doing this. It is important that you get your child registered with Final Forms. Final Forms is how we monitor all of the forms, obviously, that you have to fill out, which include the Code of Conduct, concussion forms, the Lindsay's Law forms. We have a COVID form on there this year, of course, with the situation going on. But all of those forms are found, and they can be signed electronically online. That particular program stores your information, all your email, your phone number, your address, all the contact information is stored in there forever. If any of those things change, you can go in and edit that information anytime, but you don't have to fill out forms on a pink or a yellow piece of paper and turn them into the coach at the start of every season that they then try to carry around in a bag all year. It's all right there in the computer and or on your phone for anyone to access easily at any time they would need to. The other thing with Final Forms, besides the ease of information and the ease of accessing that information, is we are using Final Forms a lot. If you were involved in the fall, you received multiple emails from us here in the athletic office, and that will continue this winter. Details on how to get tickets, either online or otherwise, at any one venue or particular school. COVID guidelines, updates on schedule, updates on anything within your particular program, any special news. So look for those emails from either myself, perhaps your coaches, that'll come through Final Forms, perhaps Mr. Brown. Just understand that if we send you an email, it is going to have important information in it. So please take the time to open it and read through that email, because we're not going to send anything to you that isn't important. And we will use that feature quite a bit this winter as we did this past fall. Some other things here, obviously the capacity requirements in the gymnasiums are causing our crowd sizes to be much smaller. You saw that throughout the fall, and you've seen that throughout sports in general in the last 6 months, whether it be the college or professional or high school level. Obviously, we expect good sporting behavior, and that's always been something that's happened here at Marion Harding. Been very proud of our parents and fans and how they represent our school and community, and we expect that to continue. Social media, the Harding Athletic Department is at Harding Prexies. At Harding Prexies is the Twitter handle for all athletics here at the high school. As far as advice to anyone as far as social media, it's simple. Keep it positive in any way that you get online. Be positive about our kids, our programs, our athletes. Being negative doesn't do anyone any good. So keep it positive online. Attendance requirement for participation in practices or contests. Obviously, things are a lot different now with our hybrid model and or our online model, but the idea is behind the attendance policy is you need to be in school or participating in school, whether that be online or otherwise, to be able to come to practice and or come to a game that particular day. There are exceptions, of course. There are family emergencies. There are things like funerals and that sort of thing. There are exceptions for. You just need to make sure that if you are expecting or you do have an absence, come and see me in the athletic office so we can determine that is okay. Understand, besides the COVID challenges that we face currently with athletics, we obviously have weather in the winter that sometimes change things and cause rescheduling and cause school to be canceled and all those sorts of things. We just try to use there's not a set rule that if we don't have school, there's no practice. We do not have a set rule that if we don't have school, there's no game. We simply use a common sense approach. Obviously, sometimes winter storms blow in overnight. The snow melts off by 10 or 11 a.m. and we're fine. Sometimes the storms blow in during the day, in which case, obviously, we're probably going to shut everything down. But we try to look at each weather situation with utmost care and make a responsible decision for what we're going to do if we do run into some bad weather in the winter. So that's always been our policy, and we'll continue that. And again, we'll keep you informed through Twitter, the website, final forms emails, and so on. So look for all that type of communication. I will let I'm going to let Tim take over here at this time. Tim, again, is our head athletic trainer, and he's going to go over a lot of the medical side of things. And at this point, I'll let Mr. Brown take over.
Thanks, Sean. I'm Tim. I'm the head athletic trainer at Harding. Been here going into my 8th year. I've been an athletic trainer for over 23. Our sports medicine team, very fortunate. We have a very talented group of individuals. Megan Weber joined us this fall as a contingent athletic trainer. Basically, Megan's role in the winter will be helping us out with our big wrestling tournament and filling in wherever is needed. Dr. Jay Guth is our sports medicine orthopedic physician, and we also have Dr. Chip Thompson. Dr. Thompson's a primary care physician. His office is located with the urgent care building over on University Drive. What is an athletic trainer? Well, an athletic trainer is a certified and licensed healthcare professional who provides injury prevention, emergency care, clinical diagnosis, therapeutic intervention, and rehabilitation of injuries and medical conditions. We work under the direct care of physicians. I work for Ohio Health Sports Medicine. Ohio Health Sports Medicine is a huge sports medicine group in Central Ohio. It consists of over 150 athletic trainers. We have athletic trainers at over 50 high schools, colleges, basically going from Athens all the way up to Ashland. We also are the official healthcare providers of the Blue Jackets, Columbus Crew, and the Cap City Marathon. With our affiliation being community partner with Marion City Schools, it gives us the opportunity for direct referrals, and we try, depending on where your athlete wants to go, we can get your athlete in to see our physicians within a 24 to 48 hour period. We also offer the 566 game. This is a phone number that you can access. Athletic trainers staff that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, year round. The purpose of it is to answer any sports medicine questions and to help triage. So if you're not able to get a hold of me or Megan, that's obviously a resource for you. A lot of this information is on the website, so I'm going to try to walk you through. We try to keep this website as current as possible. Our athletics website is at www.marionhardingpresidents.org. So when you navigate to that, at the very far right side, there's a More tab. When you select the More tab, it opens up a whole bunch of information. On the left-hand side, it has our athletic training room policy and procedure. So you can actually pull that PDF up. You can print it off if you want. And I'm going to briefly go through that. Like we said, opening this up, our goal is to keep the student athlete as healthy as possible and participating in their sport and being as successful as possible and having fun. In turn, the athletes have some responsibilities. We want to make sure, Sean talked about final forms. That's a critical component not only to cover all the forms that are required, the signatures, but we need the most updated contact information. I use that to download into our Healthy Roster platform. Healthy Roster is what I use to document all of the injuries and also to communicate with the parent and guardians, the athletes, and the coaches. So make sure every time, every season, all that information's updated in final forms because then I download it into Healthy Roster, and that's how we communicate, along with phone calls, texts, emails, and everything else. Physicals, sports physicals. You got to have a physical to participate. The OHSA updated that form last year. So be proactive, make sure that the athlete, parent and guardian sign all the required areas, and the provider signs. There's 2 areas now that the provider needs to sign. So when you go get your physical, just double check before you leave the office because you don't want to have to go back because that is a required document and it has to be completed successfully. Report your injury. If you get hurt, it's going to happen. Report it to the coach, come to the training room, report to us, and then we're going to get a plan put into place. As Sean alluded earlier, the expectation for the athletes is to show up every day for practice. If you're hurt, that doesn't change. It's just going to change how you practice. You may be with me in the training room for the entire practice. Again, our goal is to get you back on the field, back on the court as quickly, as safely as possible. We don't want re-injuries. That gives me too much paperwork, and we want you to have fun. Injury overview. When I see an athlete, we're going to do an evaluation. We're going to issue a home exercise program. It's going to be documented in Healthy Roster. The athlete will be sent home with instructions, including restrictions, and a plan will be put into place. We try to be as proactive as possible, making sure everyone's involved in the loop, including parent, guardian, coaches, and the athlete themselves. The Healthy Roster I alluded to earlier, there is an FAQ on there. Whoever is listed as a contact person in final forms will get an invitation to join Healthy Roster. Basically, you download the app and you sign up for it. Anytime I see an athlete, I document in Healthy Roster. If it's your athlete, you'll be alerted and you'll be able to review what the restrictions are, what the plan is, and where we're at, what the status is. So it's an excellent platform. We've used it for the last couple of years, and it just helps streamline the communication. My door's always open. My cell phone number is posted throughout the district. It's always on, so you're always available to call me, text me, or stop in the training room with any questions. In regards to COVID, since day one, since we started the restart to athletics back in August, we've been very proactive and we've been very effective with trying to contain and make sure that the athlete gets the best care and we follow the same path. With that being said, if you're exhibiting symptoms, we're going to have you stay home until you feel better, and then we're going to require you to touch base with your physician. That can either be a telemedicine visit or an actual in-person visit, but we need documentation from your physician clearing you to return back. Even if you've never been tested for COVID, we just need documentation so that we're covering our bases, we're making sure that you're 100% healthy, and everyone's doing the same thing. If you are COVID positive, your physician's obviously included, and then there is a return to participation progression that we follow to get you back quickly and healthy. Concussions, head injuries, we take them seriously. When in doubt, hold them out. Ohio House Bill 143 was passed. It's probably been 8 years ago or more. You can't participate with a head injury. The reason being, all the research that's been done is these are still pediatric athletes, they're still developing, and if you try to push through a head injury, you're at 50% chance of re-injury, and the increase for second impact syndrome dramatically increases. So we take it seriously. It's not an injury you push through. We have a set of criteria that we follow, and we follow the same criteria for any head injury. So basically, we'll do a SCAP 5. That's the world standard right now that everyone's doing. And we involve the coaches, the athlete, parent guardian, educators, teachers, school nurse, and we set a plan up. The athlete, the interesting thing with concussions is no two concussions are alike. So back in the day, they used to categorize and group them. It's now very individualized. It's based on what the athlete's experiencing and the signs and symptoms. And we try to get baseline information after a head injury occurs so that we know where the starting point is so it can sort of run its course. If you try to push through it and you're not truthful, it's not going to end well. You're going to cost yourself probably missing twice the amount of time or missing your season completely. It's a brain injury, so you got to take it seriously, let it run its course. We involve physicians, we do daily symptom checks, and once we get you to the point where you're back healthy, we take you through a 5-step progression. That ensures that your body's able to handle the stresses of athletics before we release you back onto the court. So we're very proactive with it. The take home is symptoms from a head injury can present themselves up to 72 hours after the fact. So it's not instantaneous. You can exhibit symptoms, they can go away, and then they can return. So we try to be upfront and follow the most recent research. And again, safety first. We want to make sure you have a great outcome. Athletic training room schedule. We post that on the website. We're very proactive, and by doing that, it then triggers, it goes into the social media platforms, Twitter. Sports Medicine has their own Twitter handle. I post that, pin it to the Twitter. I guess that's the terminology. So it's always the first thing you see. Athletic training room hours for the winter. I live at the high school athletic training room that's located in the athletic wing between the boys and girls PE locker rooms. We're usually there starting at 2 o'clock. We'll be there till the end of practices or till the end of events, and that's usually Monday through Saturday. On the schedule itself, on the bottom left, is my direct contact information, my cell phone and email address. On the Ohio Health Sports Medicine, back on the website, there's a bunch of information. Dr. Gus Bio information's on there. The urgent care information is posted on there. So just down the street on University Drive is the Ohio Health Urgent Care Facility. It's open 7 days a week, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. They do a great job. If you download the Ohio Health app, it can tell you an estimated wait time. So that's a very nice feature. I've personally used it a couple times, and it is very accurate. The nice thing with the urgent care, I do proactive calls to make sure that they can handle what I'm sending them. And if you go without being seen by me, they are very proactive. If it's something they're not comfortable with dealing with, they'll send you to the ER, and they're not going to charge you for a full visit. They modify the charges, so they're very proactive. They're looking for best care. There's also urgent care versus ER versus PCP visit handout. It's a nice little handout. You know, when should I go to the urgent care versus when do I need to go to the ER, etc. That's also the 566 game. We can help triage there or contact us. Other handouts that are on there, they're all PDF documents. You're all able to download, print. Our sports dietitian made some pretty amazing handouts regarding healthy eating, hydration tips, pregame meals. So that's always there available to reference. And that's pretty much the website in a nutshell. Like I say, we try to be as proactive as possible. Our updated winter sports guidelines will be posted there, along with additional COVID information. A couple of classes we want to sort of promote at Harding. The exercise science class is a career pathways class taught by Coach Rose Cunningham. It's a 2-level class, so there's level 1, which is sort of basic stuff, and then level 2 is more advanced, and it's 2 periods a day. It's any athlete, any student athlete that's interested in going into the sports medicine field, whether being athletic training, physical therapy, occupational therapy, whatever, highly recommend. Coach Cunningham does a fantastic job. Another class is our advanced physical training class. Coach Worstel teaches that, and again, it's been a phenomenal class. We track with Healthy Rosters injury trends, and I can tell you, since Coach Worstel's been here and doing that class, kids that participate in that class, the injury incident rate is much, much less. So I highly recommend it. Coach Worstel does a fantastic job with that class, and you get to lift weights during school, so that's not all bad. Ohio Health Sports Medicine does offer sports physicals. It's typically the first Monday after Memorial Day. That would be Monday, June 7th, 2021. Last year, we had to sort of modify that due to the COVID restrictions. So our goal is ultimately that when we hit June 2021, that we can offer this service. So again, just like anything with COVID, it's a fluid situation. So we'll be as proactive as possible. We'll communicate updates as we get them. In the past, we would hold that at the Ohio Health Marion Medical Campus. It's a huge event. We have over 80 volunteers throughout the Ohio Health, Marion healthcare system donate their time to provide physicals at no charge. So we'll communicate via final form email and the website as, we get closer to that. Sean talked about social media. He's the social media guru. I'm not.
About that.
Twitter. Our Twitter for sports medicine's at Harding Sport Med. Ohio Health Sports Medicine has a Twitter handle as well. That's OH Sport Med. Sean with athletics is at Harding Prexies. And Coach Cunningham also has a Twitter handle at HHS_EXSC. Rolls right off the tongue. Like Sean said, read the emails. We want to be as proactive as possible with any information, any updates. We're always available for questions. Good luck this season. Be safe. Any questions, reach out to us. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. I can't express enough thanks to Tim for all of his help and assistance this fall with everything we've been going through. Does a phenomenal job for your kids and for us here in the athletic department. A few house cleaning items here just to kind of wrap up this winter sports parent meeting. I didn't touch on in too much detail about the code of conduct. That's one of the forms that you sign on final forms. Want to be sure that you review that document. In addition to some of the attendance and eligibility policies here at the school, it also outlines if we have a code violation. Code violations would be anything to do with alcohol, drugs, tobacco. There are different levels. depending on what the violation is. Make sure you review those particular levels of violations and so on. Understand vaping is also something that would fall under the tobacco category, so that is not something that is okay. Tim could probably spend another 15 minutes going into the dangers of vaping to your child and why that is important to avoid. The code of conduct, the other thing to point out is that is a year-round commitment. It is not just during a particular season that we are watching your child. Once they are an athlete here at Marion Harding, they are an athlete here at Marion Harding, and if there is a violation, it will apply to whatever the next season is, even if it is in the off season. So just be aware of that that part of the code of conduct. As we are heading into winter here, as you look on the Marion Harding High School Athletics webpage, you will begin to find your child's particular sport and their schedule. That schedule will tell you who we play on what day, of course, what time we play that day, and maybe most helpful is where we are going to play that day. Addresses and little maps are there for each high school that we play at. Also, obviously in the winter, we travel to a number of different bowling alleys to bowl. Sometimes they are not even in the same town as the school we play. For example, Shelby bowls in Willard and so on, so make sure you're checking that information. The swimmers will go to various venues to swim. Only in a couple of cases are those actually at the high school. So make sure you're using that web page. If we have a change, of which we usually do in the winter, even with weather, we will update that on the web page as well. So the new scheduled time or the makeup game or whatever will be there as well. The emails that we send you through Final Forms, it is important that when I send those out, I send them to the families. What that means is every single email that you have entered in Final Forms, it is used. So if you have an email on there that isn't really active or something you use, please go in there and update and add as many emails as you want. It can go to 4 different places. It doesn't matter to me. I just want to make sure you get the information. If your child, in any way, shape, or form, thinks that they might be interested in playing college sports somewhere down the line at the Division I, II, III, NAIA level, be sure that you get signed up on the NCAA Clearinghouse and the NAIA Clearinghouse. I believe last year we had a grand total of 16 former Harding athletes playing somewhere in college. I know they really enjoyed those experiences. Obviously, in some cases, that can yield some scholarship money to help pay for college. And obviously, connections made and all those sorts of things can help you throughout life. So if you have any thought that you might want to do that, it can't hurt to get signed up. It's a fairly easy process to get in the clearinghouse. We can show you how to do that. NCAA Eligibility Center.org or NAIA Eligibility Center are the ways to go about that. So don't miss out on some of those opportunities for colleges to track what you're doing. They will show interest in you if you're in there as well. I had some questions just on a quick note about our wrestling tournament this winter over the holiday break. At this point in time, we do plan to have it. We've got a big building here that we can space people out safely. Tim and I have talked about a preliminary plan with that. We do plan to have that tournament unless we're told that we cannot. So expect us to give that a go just as we did the cross-country event here about a month ago. There is a pay-to-participate fee, as always, for sports, $50 pay to participate. That is due roughly a week before your child's first actual contest. So for some of you, that's coming up pretty quickly here, as we're going to get started with bowling very soon. But we just go ahead and get that taken care of. If you did play a spring sport last year and you did play ahead of time, we have record of that also. But that's, you know who you are. If you want to try to get a scholarship for that $50, we have a Prexy Play form that your child can fill out, available in the athletic office. Make sure your child does that work and turns that back into us very quickly so we can evaluate them for the potential of being the scholarship winner for the winter. We have fundraising opportunities for your child's sport. We have bingo is currently going on at the Knights of Columbus on Sundays. We usually need 4 workers for about a 4.5 hour period of time to raise money for your child's sport. They've also started up some events at the Coliseum again, and we run the concession stand at the County Fairgrounds Coliseum to raise money, and we have some events coming up there too, actually over the Thanksgiving weekend. So let me know if you're interested in either one of those items. Again, we went through a lot today, a lot of it not very exciting. We did the best we could. But if you have any questions whatsoever, our doors are open. Athletic office phone number 740-223-4634. My email is skearns@mcspresidents.org. Or just get a hold of anybody here. Find me. Tim and I it's our home away from home through the athletic season. So come and see us. We'll be happy to help you out in any way we can. And as I said, a lot of challenges ahead of us. We're excited to meet those challenges and have a great winter. So we'll see you around at the games, and go Presidents.